Hello and welcome to Elden Ring, which is the next From Software Souls-like game. It has nothing to do with the previous Souls-like universes. It's sort of a standalone game. You'll also notice I don't have a webcam for this because my webcam disappeared. Anyway, very quickly, this is my review stamp it of Elden Ring. Overall, and I'm going to say this now before we even get into the review, this is a good game. Cannot say it isn't. However, I will be focusing on the negatives because this game has so much positive feedback. Because it has so much positive feedback, I feel I need to emphasize the things that don't work. Purely because I don't want more games to be like this. As much as I love it, I don't want more games to be like this. Now, I'm going to tell you now that this is going to have spoilers over halfway into the game. I'll try and avoid them for the start of the review, but you're just going to have to play it by ear, realistically. If you don't want spoilers, go play the game. Yeah, and so we're going to jump in. I'm going to start continuing, and I'll start, and we'll talk about, basically, the best and worst parts of this game. This, overall, though, is an amazing game. Right, so, very quickly, what I'm going to do. This is where I got to in the story. This is where I got to. This is where I got to. This is where you start. You start down here. Then you get these three areas that are all green. So you got Mistwood, you got the southern area, and you got the northern area of Storm, whatever the fuck it's called. Stormhill, Stormgrave, Stormvale. One of them. Limgrave, that's it, sorry. And then you got Caelid over here, which I did. And Liurnia, which I've done. And then there's this whole Altus Plateau, which I couldn't figure out how to get to. I still can't figure... It's a whole thing. But basically, I've got up to here. I've defeated a boss over here at the capital. It's a very big game. That's my big statement to start with. So, I'm going to go to literally the first... Well, it's a point of grace, but I'm going to call them bonfires because they didn't change much from it. So, first of all, this is an amazing game. It really is. It adds something to a Souls-like game that we have not experienced before. We have this newfound exploration-based Souls-like, because that's realistically what this is. It is exploration-based. You come out here and you are introduced to an open world. And if you can fight headlong, you can go anywhere. Although you'll probably need to level up along your way. So, let's go over some of the basics as to why I struggle in this game and what I don't like. First of all, this is the bonfire. This is the site of grace. You sit down and you can pass time because there are random bosses that only appear at different times in the day. I only found that out about 3/4 of the way through the game. And I still have no idea how to figure out where these bosses are. You can level up. You can allocate your flasks, increase your flasks. That's pretty much the same as Dark Souls 3. You can memorize your spells. You'll notice I'm a spellcaster. This is a unique addition to the game. So, on top of your normal health and mana flasks, you have the Wondrous Physic. So, you will collect, as you go around, these basically tiers, and you can put the tiers in any fucking combination you want. Any two you want. So I could have Stop Rune Loss on Death. And I could have Enhancing Dodge Rolls. I could have Reduce Equipment Load. And Restoring HP over time. I have Damage Negation. And restores half of my total HP. I use it as an extra heal that basically, if I think this boss is going to be more dangerous, or I'm in a more dangerous area, I'll drink this first. So I've got that Damage Negation. And, you know, that's what mine does. It restores half of max HP and temporarily boosts all damage negation. That's a really cool, unique thing they added. Love it. Then you've got the sorting chest, which is basically all the loot that you end up with. And I'm not going to lie, I don't use most of this. Great runes. These are your boss rewards. So I'm just going to go over the two I have. I technically have 3, but there's 2. So, there's Morgott's Rune, which gives me HP, and this is the first one you get that raises all your attributes by, like, 2 or 3. I haven't switched off the first one you get, because the second one I got allowed me to change my appearance, which, as you can see, it really matters to me with my helmet. And the third one I got gives me more HP, which is kind of useless because I'm a glass cannon. In a Souls-like game, you'll hit a point where either you kill stuff or it kills you, and that's it. Next, I'm going to talk about the Ashes of War. So Ashes of War is a really unique thing they added. So in Dark Souls 3, you had weapon arts, which if you two-handed a weapon, like I'm two-handing this stock, you could do special attacks that cost a bit of mana, like that. This is a cold S-stock. So it's actually my starting weapon. I have not found a better weapon than this yet. Sounds odd, but it's the truth. I genuinely haven't. So this is a cold S-stock. So it buffs cold damage. So I can imbue my weapon with cold and do cold slashes basically at will, because that's what I've equipped. You can swap this out, though, with any weapon art you find. So my cold S-stock, I could switch it to a bloody S-stock, which is really interesting, because that alone allows you to have really unique things. Now, one of the ones I started with very early on is I went for Quick Step. And I went for Quick Step because the ability to jump around was really useful, especially with a dexterity-based weapon. I'm also going to talk about how these affect the weapons, in the sense that I don't use them. I don't, because they take a long time to build up. Learning to perfect their use takes time, so I rarely use them, yeah? What they do is they change your attribute scaling. So I'm going to use my mouse here just to highlight. Attribute scaling increases the extra damage on top of your base damage. So, with my cold S-stock, it has intelligence scaling, dex scaling, and strength. And previously, when I had it on quick, it only had dexterity scaling. So, it would do 194 base damage, add 120 because my dexterity was high. And it's a high dex scaling, if that makes sense. The higher the scaling, the more damage it does. The higher your dex, the more damage it does. So then I switched it out for cold because I use magic. So being a cold S-stock, now I not only get my dex scaling, I get an extra magic stat. It changed how the weapon works. Really cool, but it also means any weapon effectively could be a dex weapon. Any weapon could effectively be a strength weapon. It means that finding weapons as you wander around, which by the way I'm going to show off now, I found loads. Loads of weapons. This is all weapons I found. There has not been one that I have found that is actually good. Like, perfect example, the Noble S-stock. It's the next one I found. Has D-dex scaling. So I don't know if upgrading that is going to be better in the long run. Roger's Rapier. I don't know if that's going to be better. You have to open up the wiki. This is my first problem with this, is that I know... And okay, this is something I'm going to say before I actually start complaining. If you are a Souls-like fanboy, you might as well fuck off. Because I know that most of the people that love From Software games say that the janky systems are good because they're used to it. That's not necessarily what we want. We want something that you can play without having a wiki open at the same time. That's just something I'm going to say to any gamer out there. Because I want to play the game and make mistakes. So, like, say there's a mistake I could make in a story and I could piss off someone. I want to make that mistake because I think it's my decisions. And then learn about it on, like, my third playthrough. That's the brilliant thing about replaying games. However, I want to figure out what weapon's good. I don't want to run halfway across the map to find a metagame weapon. No, I just want to know vaguely if the weapon I found is better than the one I have. Because I've got to then level it up to 17 and put my intelligence and dex scaling on it. And that takes tons of these resources you get. And you end up spending all your resources trying to figure out if your weapons are the same. And it turns out they are. So honestly, I used basically the same weapons for most of the game. I don't know why I got arrows equipped, by the way. It automatically does that. So I've just used the same weapons for most of the game. It confuses me. It does. Also, so, all in all, the weapon system is irritating. That's the first thing I've got to say. The next thing I'm going to say is the story / exploration is really stupid. The story is this yellow blob. I know that from this bonfire, I need to fuck off in that direction. I'll tell you what happened the first time. Because there was a boss that spawned here, on the map, here, at point 4. The first time, it said go that way. I went this way, totted off, and ended up in this cave. Genuinely. Before I even found this bonfire, I missed the first fucking place to go. So, it's very easy to get lost. Especially when you get multiple lines. Like, at this point, this line tells me to go off a cliff. What it actually means to do is follow this road. But I spent a good while trying to figure out how to go round here. And this might just be me, yeah? And if it is just me, then fine, I'm an idiot. But when you get to points here, where I got to this one, and then I found this one over here, and this one says go up there, and this one says go over here, and this one says go down. Do you see my point? Like, if you're following all these yellow lines, it's very easy to get lost. Especially seeing as most of these don't have lines. You're still lost. Got no clue where to go. Where's that? There it is. So, the problems I have with this world, to start with. Weapon upgrades, I have no idea what's better. Armor, that's fine. Armor makes sense. It genuinely does. I want high poise armor. Because I'm a spellcaster and I do not want to get staggered. So I can scroll through all the bits of armor I've picked up. I've got a lot of these fucking octopus heads. Don't ask me about that. And, you know, I can pick out the armor that's best for poise. Because I know what poise does. Poise makes you... Basically, it means that if I get hit while casting, I'll carry on casting. Which is what I want. Which is why I've picked that armor out. There are some better armors left and right and around. And you'll notice that my equipment load is set to heavy. But that's because I have to do this. So, Rune Arc. Right. I'm getting lost in my own fucking head. There's that many things I want to talk about. Which is a perfect explanation of this game. There is too much. That is my biggest problem with this game. There is too much. I say there's too much. Maybe for other people there's not. But I've put nearly half the amount of hours I've put into Dark Souls 3 into this game. To give you some context... I've completed Dark Souls 3 about 5 times. I am still trying to find things in this game. I am so lost. Like, unbelievably lost. So, right. Let me tell you what happened from the start of the game for me. I started at this Site of Grace. That's what they're called. Then I went to this one. Then I went to this one. Then to this one. And then I went down this way and followed the road down. Because up here looked like a big gate, like I'd have to go through this massive nightmare. Now, if you sit at this Site of Grace, which is like 3 feet from the start, I'm actually going to show you. If you go to this Site of Grace... Also, fun thing, horse has a double jump. Horse is really nice to control. Fluid, really cool. There's horse-based combat, I really enjoy. Very nice. I can't fault the horse. The horse is good. The horse is great. So I got up to... I went down this road. I went to that church behind me, which is fine, because you meet your first trader there. Then I went down this road, and I was trying to spot some stuff. Oh, there's an item there. I'll leave it. It's fine. And I went to here, and I saw this massive camp of people, and I decided I didn't want to tarry with a massive camp of people. I should go and explore first. Because the moment I entered this camp of people, this guy in the middle, this guy... Here, this guy, he toots his horn. And it draws in lots more of these knights and lots of dogs, and it gets very scary. So what did I do? I pissed off this way. I went to go and find other stuff. Which is, you know, kind of makes sense. You're given a big green grass field to fuck around in before you need to go up towards the evil castle. You might as well piss around in the field. So... Oh my god, hold on. Let me just quickly, there we go. Equip my magic staff for a second. Kill some of them. So, overall, it's turned out pretty good until this point, and I get into this bonfire, this one here. This is the Site of Grace I ended up at, this one here. And at this Site of Grace, I'm like, great, where do I go? No lines. So I got a line here that says go over there, but I want to level up, find stuff. So I piss off that way. And about here is where I end up. I ended up down here, so I went round into this lake. I opened a chest, and this is before I got the ability to fast travel. I ended up here, in the middle of a high-level area, lost, and I had to run back because I had not met the person that gives you the horse, or the ability to fast travel, or any of that. Now, whether I could have fast travel, I don't know, but the game hadn't taught me it yet. Genuinely, as far as I can remember, because I streamed it, no one told me I could fast travel, and I couldn't figure out how to do it. So, I was trapped in a very high-level area, and it's not nice over there. It's not. So, it's very easy to get lost, in the sense of, this is an open-ended RPG. There is no master plan in what to do. There's no, you go this way, you go that way. In most From Software games to this point, I would say they've had beautiful level design. In the sense of, anything you sought to find, you could generally just go and get it. Like, let me put this in context. When you push forward in a From Software game traditionally, you'd open up shortcuts that link you back to your original path. By the way, those little scarabs, the ones that are white, give you Ashes of War that change things. It's very useful. So, having something as open-ended as this means that I am very lost. There are caves everywhere. So the first church, let me fast travel quickly over to the first church. When I said it's easy to get lost in this game, I don't mean it in a negative way, but it is easy to get lost. You appear here, and I disappeared up this way, as you do. You know, I went along and I was trying to find stuff, and I looked at this statue, and this statue said, go down there. So I was like, great, I'll go down there. Went down here, and you end up in a catacomb. Now, catacombs are one of the, I want to say 4 types of dungeons. There's catacombs, there's caves, and they have bosses at the end. But this is where I feel the game's got a sense of disaggregation. So you open up your catacomb, and you come in. Now, this catacomb, for example, you have your little site of grace at the start, and you go down, and you know, it's traditional sort of Souls-like mechanics. You can see an enemy ahead. You're going to get ambushed from the left. You know, it's bound to happen. That's okay. You know, it's okay to sort of get ambushed and stuff. And this is sort of what you expect. Especially if you played these types of games before. You expect ambushes and things like that. I'm just going to quickly do something. This is a rune arc. It improves the rune you've got. So that increases my stats even more, which means that I'm no longer over-encumbered, so I can roll normally. Because I wear very heavy armor. So, this door is shut, you go through, blah, blah, blah. You go through a little puzzle dungeon, that's basically what it is. There's like a couple of enemies, like 8 to 10. Then you come through here to the most generic boss room in the world. And I mean it, because I have been in this boss room about 12 times. This is the annoying part of this for me. This catacombs boss room is no different from a catacomb up here. Hold on, let me see if I've got one that's... trying to find one. I sort of skipped most of the catacombs up here because they don't mean anything. Literally, you get nothing at the end of it. Like, I went to... I think... There's a catacomb here. Here's a catacomb, yeah, by this minor Erd tree. So this is in the big bad area. This catacomb is no different. Now, I understand the idea of tile sets within things, but none of the boss fight rooms offer anything unique. Like, unique in terms of what you're gaining. So, one of the best things I could say about Dark Souls and Souls-like games in general is every boss room was unique and fitted to the boss. It was unique and fitted, so you couldn't really predict what the boss was going to be like or what the room was going to be like. But this catacomb right here, this one that I've already completed, the boss here was just 2 of the boss from that first catacomb. And the room is exactly the same. There were no secrets or nothing interesting and nothing I could use in this room to make it a different fight. You know, I have to avoid cracks in the floor or something like that. It was genuinely just a repetitive boss arena. And it kind of upset me that every catacomb had this repetitive boss arena. Because while you've got a great expansive game, it makes no difference when the only time I'm actually fighting enemies is between these two caves and they're both going to have the same fucking end room. Do you see what I mean? It was the element of what we were discovering as we progressed was the same things, which really upset me. So, perfect example. These runes. Let me do these runes. The Waypoint Runes, yeah? These runes. I will quickly spawn at them, because these Waypoint Runes are useful. It's where you find your first spell merchant lady. She sells you spells. She's still there. She's useless. Yeah. And you go up here, and you've got these ruins. Yeah? Ignore the enemies. But these are the ruins, okay? They look very ruin-like. I'll take that into account, and it's very cool. Every other ruin looks exactly the same. Those ruins over there that you can see by the top of my head, they're exactly the same. Now, there's cool things like this, where you've got trolls pulling a fucking coffin, and in the back of those coffins there's loot, and you've got this big procession. This is beautiful. This is amazing. This is built to wow. I've seen this about once in the game. It feels like something they meant to add more in, but never got around to. And I'm saying that I would have liked more. I've rarely found opportunities where factions are fighting each other. So these are nobles. This is the faction, nobles, and they fight, yeah? As you do. And then there's another faction called beastmen. And there's only one opportunity I've actually seen them fight, which is actually just down the road, if I remember correctly. So give me a second. Let me trot down this road very quick. Most of the enemies in this area won't mean anything to me, because I've leveled up quite a bit. What level am I right now? I'm level 96, yeah. So it's not that bad. I leveled up quite a lot because I'm shit. So, I think over here there's, I want to say, 2 factions fighting. Yeah, here we go. There's beastmen and there's nobles. And it's a very sort of preset moment where they fight each other. They will fight each other if you drag them into each other and really force it to happen. But in a more open world context, I was hoping for a bit more fluidity, you know? I think it almost feels to me, and this is why I'm focusing on the negatives, because at the end of the day, I will say this like I said at the very start, this is a good game. If this is all I can pick apart in it, and all I say the problems are, you're doing well. Not denying it. But things can always be improved. Things that I would have liked to have seen improvement is, give me a reason to explore. Because in the starting area, I found about 50 fucking strength weapons. None of them had dex scaling above B. So the weapon I started the game with was the best weapon I found. It still is. Like, ridiculously so. I found these recently. Hook claws. Look cool. Dex C. And so if I go and I level them up, they're probably not going to be the same amount of damage. And then I've got to learn... Do you see what I mean? Like, it's a little ridiculous, the sheer amount there is. But I'm not shaming it for that. It's more... Once again, I feel like they didn't take into account every playstyle. I think they just took into account... What loot shall we stick here? X, B, Y. None of the loot really makes sense with the location unless it's specific loot that you get from people. Anyway, I'll let them keep fighting. Now, I've got another problem. Another problem with this game, and that is repetitive mobs. Here's my first example. This crab is copy and pasted from Dark Souls. 100%. The moveset, everything about it, it's 100% copy and pasted. It's exactly the same. Which, fine, I can respect it, but It's 100% copy and pasted. So it's nothing new. I'm not like, oh, wow, this monster, how am I going to fight it? It's 5 minutes into the game, literally a right turn from the start, I've found stuff that I've seen on other Souls-like games. And if this was supposed to be created by George R.R. Martin, it's supposed to have that unique edge to it that really makes it different, why am I immediately shown mobs that I've seen before? You know, it's a bit depressing, you know? Sorry, let me just quickly shoot that. Not the crab, the... Oh, give me a sec. That one. There we go. Ash of War and Sheath. Like, a lot of the weapons, attacks, and everything are exactly the same as Dark Souls. So, perfect example, the S-Stock. The S-Stock has not changed in any Souls-like game. That is exactly the same as it has always been, in my opinion. And I'm a little sad at it, you know? I would have liked to have learnt to fight a little different. I've been to that one. I have. Huh. You know, I'd have loved to learn to fight a little different, but it's what we get. You know, these are the problems. It's like, the weapons attack the same way. Okay, there are some new weapons out there, not even going to deny it. Some new weapons that are really cool. One of which was... Where's the Twin Blades? I love the Twin Blades. Looks so cool. Yeah, Twin Blades. Which one shall I demonstrate? Let's try the God Skin Peeler. So this one's got a fancy, like, thing. So the Twin Blade, you Darth Maul in it. You know, it's this really cool combo where you do stuff like this and this. Really nice. And then on a horse, it becomes even better if you hold, I think, the heavy attack. You can just walk past people while doing that, and it will do damage. And genuinely, was a really nice find. But I wanted more of that, you know? Big bonks are still big bonks. You know, I wanted more unique weapons. There's these colossal weapons. I will say they're pretty cool. Like, this is a chainsaw. Pretty cool. But it just bonks, and I think only chainsaws a little bit. It's still a cool weapon, though. Without a doubt, is it a cool weapon. But it lacks in that sense of something new. When every other weapon you find is just the same weapon with a bit of colour on it. It's just me. I'd have preferred more variations, really tried to mix it up a bit more. I quite like the flails. They've sort of been an improvement, certainly. Knight Rider flail came in very handy for me. Because a boss was very immune to basically everything I had. So I had to use especially... what's it called? Bleed-based weaponry, which is fine, because that's something I want. Next system I'm going to talk about in this game, and this is a system that I think is severely neglected. And actually the worst part of this game, other than the fact I'm unbelievably lost. When I say unbelievably lost, I mean it. I have no idea where to go most of the time. Like, right now, I figured out this bit. Up here, I think I missed most of the shit here. Certainly here I haven't been. But it's very confusing. So, excusing the confusing map. What is my next problem? It is this. The second item you... Sort of like the second menu button. Item crafting. It is so useless. So, very quickly, I wonder if I can show you this. Trying to see if I can show you exactly how many recipe books I have bought in the game. But it's something ridiculous. I've spent tons on it, and I bought tons of recipe books. I could definitely get my number of flasks increased. Whoops. No, I can't find it for you. I can't find it for you. But that's fine. This is the tutorial. It's just in your inventory, which is quite cool. But I've got tons of them, shall we say. So going quickly over to here, Consumables. This alleviates poison buildup. This alleviates bleed buildup, or scarlet rot. Same thing as bleed, it's just bleed. Okay? They're useful to make. Everything else is kind of shit. That boosts immunity. I don't even know what immunity is. So yeah, here it goes. Higher immunity helps mitigate the build-up of poisons. Great if it was preventative, but I'm never going to really use it. Like, at the risk of not standing in the poison, is something I've never touched. Increases robustness. What does robustness do? Mitigates frost and blood. So these are two different pieces of meat that basically slow your blood. Okay, right. So what about this one? Oh, this one does the same, but for both. And then you've got white meat, which is the exact same thing, but white. Some boost to stamina recovery. That seems useful. Pickled turtlenecks. So that's what? 3 useful things I found? This one's attack. Okay, 4 useful things. Item discovery. See, that would be useful if I knew the item dropped. This is an interesting thing about Souls-like games, but I don't see a point in boosting my item discovery unless I know I'm going to get an item from it I need. Which means I need to go and sit on a wiki for half an hour to figure out whether they've got items I need, which upsets me at the same time because I'm not learning through the game. And that boosts rune acquisition, which, if I show you in my inventory, realistically you don't need to do, because I've got 24 of them and I've played for nearly fucking 100 hours or something stupid. Like, I've put a lot of time into this game, and most of the shit I don't eat or use. Like, any of it. This is all just stuff I've picked up. I've never crafted it, because there is no point. Like, I can have throwing darts and throwing knives, and cool, but I have never used them. Ruin fragments, 83 of them. I stopped picking stuff up at a point because it didn't do anything. Like, oh, I can now craft 100 different types of arrows. Right. Why? I don't use a bow. Like, as an archer, I can understand this is useful. But for anyone else, it doesn't make any sense. These I've only just unlocked. These are perfumes, it's called. So that they're like special attacks. So that'll give me poison mist even. And that one will give me attack. Fine. And these are throwable pots. I can make them to do impedes your healing, lures beasts, douses them in blood, builds up frost. I've not used any of these again. I'm not saying it in a rude way, but like, this is a very underused system. It is no different to buying fire pots in Dark Souls 3. The only difference is, instead of buying them, now you can make them. And hundreds of them. Which is kind of a waste of time. Also, a random thing about this encounter, as you can see, is no one wins until you get close enough. They will just fight forever. Anyway, right, moving onwards. That adds another thing. This foraging system, kind of useless. This attacking system, kind of useless, because you can't forage and get more heals. You can't make food to heal you better. They're only buffs. And minor buffs that don't really last that long. Like, item discovery lasts about 5 minutes, maybe? If you think about it, it takes me a good hour to find anything. So that's another problem I have with the game. Not saying I hate the game, just voicing problems that I feel a bit neglected. What I'd have loved is the ability to craft weapons and armor. Yeah? Because then, as you get introduced to a new area, and there's new animals, and there's new plants, you'll be able to craft more armor and weapons that are better suited to that area. And you have a guaranteed sign that anything that you found is designed for that area. Whereas you can find the same monsters here in the starting area as my most recent area. If I quickly just head up to the Giant's Plateau, exactly where I was. The most recent area I have been. I fell off the cliff, actually, up here. That's why my, quote, souls or runes are there. But it's pretty much the same. Oh, look, there's a ghost deer over there. Let's go kill this ghost deer behind this rock. Hi, ghost deer. Hold on, I think the ghost deer might not actually be real. Hold on. Can I kill you? No, I can't kill ghost deer. So this is a shit example. Let me give you a better example. Let me go to here. Capital Rampart? No, I want here. So this is the Outer Wall Battleground. If I find a monster, well, not a monster, a animal out here, it will give me the same drops. This is a big problem. There is no point in hunting or exploring when you get further in the game. Because, once again, you'll have one weapon that you'll have used, or something, or two weapons, and you'll have leveled them up heavily. And maybe if you get a boss weapon, you might switch it out, but that's about it. Sorry, there's nothing here, because it's the bloody wrong area. Let me go this way and see if I can find you an animal. But, like, there's less reason to explore. Oh, I could kill a mini-boss, which will give me a large influx of souls. But a large influx of souls doesn't do anything. Like, realistically, compared to actual large influxes of souls, where you can get them from just going from A to B. At this point in the game, basically, when I had gotten to the second area, I gave up on exploring and just decided to go it. Because everywhere I explored didn't have, well, anything new. Like, oh, there's a bush here. What's this going to give me? Golden Rower. So that's a slightly more improved type of berry, which means I can make a slightly more improved type of buff. It lacks a purpose, the crafting system. It really does. I'll say the horse's double jump is one of the nicest things they ever added, by the way. Horses with double jump should become a commonplace thing. But I saw a lot of people praising this as a masterclass in open world game design. And I think you gotta say no. It can't be a masterclass. It's a unique, brilliant look. I will not deny it. But it's not a masterclass. Because if we look, just take a picture of the screen right now. You can go there. You can go there. And you can probably go up that rock. There's nothing in between. There is absolutely nothing in between. Like, oh great, there's two fucking nobles here. But these are exactly the same as the nobles in the starting level, except for they have slightly more health. Their clothes are a different colour. This brings me on to another one of my points, one of the things I hate that I have to point out. But enemies are repetitive. So repetitive that I'm going to show you from the start of the game. So, gate front, start of the game. We're going there, yeah? Because I'm not saying all enemies are repetitive, but a majority of them are. So let's go down here. We've got the soldiers with the gambesons, like this one. There we are. And that's wearing the Godric seal, because we're in the Godric area. Or Godfried, or one of them. I don't know, it's God something. And then we've got a knight over there with the knight stuff. So he'll have the knight's gear. There we are. And there's also peasants, which we've seen at some point, but they're green as well. Okay. Then we're going to go up this way, yeah? And we're going to go past the first boss. Just going to get out of the way so I can very quickly... It's not letting me. I can't fast travel when I'm in combat. You know, basic combat stuff. Give me a sec. I just sprint past these fools. Which is what I did the first time as well, because I didn't need to fight them. It's the necessary fight. There is no point to fighting them. And this is another problem I'll talk about, but I'll add it in a minute once I've finished making my point about how stupid the fucking enemy repetition is. It's annoying me. So then I'll go over here to the full belfries, and we'll go and check out the new areas enemies, shall we? That's going to be cool. Can't wait to see what they are. So you spawn at this bonfire. It's just a little trip down here. I know there's a guaranteed spawn. So there's vampire bats. They're everywhere. Seriously, they're in the starting area, everywhere else. They appear at night. And sometimes they sing, but ignore that. But if I follow this road down here, should be past the Revenger's Shack. Yeah. There's just a land octopus, and then we should be able to get to it. So land octopuses, they're a really cool, unique enemy. Except for they appear everywhere. There they are, right in front of me. That's a land octopus. In the starting area, there's only like 1 or 2. Pretty cool. In this area, there's 3 or 4. Basic increase in enemies, but I'd have liked to seen different types. You could have put a magic one in this area, because this area has the magic fucking academy in the middle of it. I mean, I'll pepper in the fact that this game is gorgeous. Genuinely fucking gorgeous. But it being pretty doesn't change the fact that it doesn't make a great deal of sense most of the time. So, where the fuck is what I'm looking for? Oh, I'm an idiot. The 4 belfries is there. I need to start with this one. Sorry. So, demonstration. Everyone was yellow in that starting area. And then the same enemies appear in this area and they're blue. What does that mean? Does it mean they attack differently? Slightly. The ones in the blue area have a usable item. That's cool. And here's an example of these animals. They all drop the same thing. It's thin beast bones no matter where you are. Here we go. And here they are. What's the difference? They changed colour. That's it. They changed colour. It's the same enemy. And it kind of upsets me that it's the same enemy, but they just changed colour. You know? I was hoping for something a little more unique or out there, but it lacks. Again, this is the thing. It lacks that variety of really feeling like I've entered a different land. We're supposed to be traveling across lots of different lands. Limgrave, Liurnia. This doesn't have any segregation, these 3 areas. Where it worked really well, and this is the truth, is between these 2 lands, between Limgrave and Caelid. So if I go to this bonfire, yes, they'll have the same red knights instead of the fucking yellow knights, instead of the blue knights. There are different enemies in this area that really add to it, though. So the Caelid area is all based on bleed and dead giants. There's like skeletons littering the land. It's really cool. Loving the whole aesthetic of this land. Really cool. Perfect example, straight ahead. We've got little insect people with bones. And they throw like bone quills, and they're different to fight. And then over here, you've got your basic knights. Slightly lame. You've got a pumpkin head, pretty cool. There's dogs, like giant velociraptor dogs. I want to find them to show them off. There they go. There's one right up there above my head. I don't know if you can see it. I'll head to it right away. But things like that are a brilliant addition. I feel like they almost ran out of steam in the game development process, though, because they didn't add anything else. Look, here are these velociraptor dogs. These giant dogs. Horrifying. And there's, like, machines over there with whips and stuff. Horrifying. That's brilliant. But what happened between here and here and here and here? I don't know. Limgrave and Liurnia should have more of a difference. This whole area is wet. And there's about 2 new enemies. Which are people on horses with more arms. But realistically, you fought them in this castle, which is in Limgrave. So it's the problem that a lot of the enemies are just the same. It's the same fodder enemies to get to a boss that's slightly different. And it's the same fodder enemies to get to a boss that's exactly the same when you're doing most of these miniature dungeons. The catacombs pretty much always end with the same cat or dog statues. I've found quite a few of these caves that just bring in some of the bigger area things, which is okay, but it's no different, like some of the dragons coming out as bosses at the end. I'll take that, you know? But it feels like a lot of this is just reused content to pad out as large, which is sort of why I'm not liking this as much as I would a linear Souls-like game. The beautiful thing about Dark Souls is you had a linear level. You go from A to B, okay? But there might be like a secret halfway there, and a secret 75% of the way there. And you might eventually figure them out, but you'd figure out the secrets as you went because you'd constantly be going from A to B. The problem with this is it's very hard to find secrets. The entirety of the first area, there is no illusionary walls that I found. The second area had illusionary walls. But I had tried so many times over here, I'd given up. And I didn't know they existed. My Twitch chat had to point them out to me because illusionary walls basically aren't consistent. Well, you might say they're only in the magic area because magic. Okay, I fully understand that. But if we're going to say they're only in the magic area because magic, we need a way to tell. And you're like, oh, but then it's not going to be a secret. But you can't hide a secret in a world this big. This world is so big, there is a lack of secrets. There's a lack of shortcuts. The only time it feels like an actual Souls-like game is when you get into the castles. This castle, this castle, this castle. When you get into these areas, it feels like a Souls-like game. It genuinely does. Because you've got these abilities to go left or right, or jump up a wall and shimmy along a roof somewhere. And that's what the fun exploring is. But you can't shimmy across a roof somewhere out here, because there's so much of it. With losing the linear levels, you lost the beautiful intricacy of the level. And the storytelling that's told through it. That is also a big problem when it comes to the stories of the characters in this game. It really is, because I lose who I'm talking to, and by the time I find them, I don't know what the last thing I said to them was. Oh, fucking hell. Give me a minute. Azure Comet. Sorry, that's my massive spell, but it uses all my mana for like 2 seconds. And I have to have a great rune to use it. Anyway. I love that spell. It's really cool. Doesn't really do anything other than that, though. It's a beam of death. So, while I'm saying the game is brilliant, it is brilliant because it is big, expansive. The stories between the individual characters are good. The combat is good. The Souls-like mechanic is perfect in this sort of scenario. I like it. You can never really lose your, quote, souls or runes because they're always marked on your map. This is mine. I fell off a cliff because I fell asleep while riding my horse. Genuinely, I was on my computer and fell asleep. The problem I have more of it is the loose directions. I was told to go up this way. I kid you not, I spent about 3 hours going around this area. I still don't know whether I've completed it. It is chaos trying to find whether you're going the right direction. Because one of the biggest, and I mean this in the most loving way possible, the biggest problem they've added is this. Jumping. Jumping is... It adds a whole level of difficulty to the game that I would not expect. Easy jumping, and when I say easy jumping, I mean just the ability to jump at will, like this, rather than the old Souls like, you gotta get a run up, and then press the jump button and do a bounding leap. Just the fact that you can jump fucking double your height at will is a big problem. I'm gonna go to the first castle, and I'm gonna go to... Hold on. I want to say Rampart Tower. I think that's where it is. So this is sort of like once you've got past the initial onslaught and you get inside this castle. Which is fair. When you're inside this castle, this is where I said it feels most like a Souls-like game. So from this, you can go left or right. Going right takes me to an elevator. Oh, and this elevator is a shortcut that I've unlocked. Brilliant level design. There's a shortcut there I've unlocked. A way up over here. This is good level design. Really good level design. Better than the random fields you trot through where there's nothing. Then you come out here and you've got the obvious way to go, that way. And then you've got a less obvious way to go where you fucking end up jumping down there. You get my point. So you can go this way. But then you can also go this way. Actually, I've got a better point to demonstrate it to you. Adding jumping causes a problem, which is that you can practically reach anywhere. Oh, for the love of God. Didn't mean to press that button. Oh. Also, there's this spell. That spell is apparently the most OP spell in the game. Seriously, you pick that spell up, it'll stagger most bosses. It's a little unfortunate. Anyway, this is where I wanted to demonstrate it. So, very quickly, I'll use my carrion piercer to cover this area. So, I'll clear out this area. Oh, quick sip. So yeah, the enemies use the weapon arts quite a lot. I just don't tend to. Because it doesn't really do anything. So, when I say you got multiple ways to go here, you can go this way, which is the normal bog standard way. You go around here, you figure it out, you go up to here. And you're like, okay, so I've cleared out this area. It's done. But then the add of the jump button means you can now jump up here. And I could jump down there. Or I can go along here. And along here. Alright, I can walk around here now, yeah? And I can jump onto this one. Great. And you know what? Let's go inside this one. And let's go down. And then we'll end up here. Sorry, there's an annoying bird below me here. Star Shark. And then we'll drop down here. But then I could jump over there. And the added ability of this jump means that I feel almost drowned because among these 5 towers, I could be at any level on those towers. And I don't know where I'm supposed to be going. So, like, I'll go across here, great. But then I can go left or right. Right drops me down over there. Left can go up a wall over there, which will drop me onto that ledge. Or it can go up the... You see my point? It's the point of, like... There's almost too much exploring at this point where I'm like, am I even going the right fucking direction? I've ended up here now, where there's a bunch of enemies. Am I supposed to? Clearly, because they put enemies here, but where am I supposed to go from here? It's that problem that I have with this right now. It's the problem that as fun as the game is, it's so easy to get lost. It's the biggest problem I have. I spent a good hour wandering around this fort with no bloody clue where to go. I made it up here, congrats. And then I was like, right, where do I go from here? Because there's clearly somewhere else to go. Can't just end it here, can we? Well, I could drop down there, but I'll probably break my legs. So I drop down here. And then I'll drop down here. You see what I mean? I'm just like, where do I even go? Like, and now I'm onto here, right? Which loops around. It's very confusing. I don't have a problem with Elden Ring in terms of it's game breaking or something, yeah? It's not a bad game. But it lacks a certain polish. I need to call it the best, you know? To me, the best game is still Dark Souls 1 and 3. It's the best From Software games are those two. Because they canonly linked with story. I'm ignoring 2 because it was fucking weird. I don't understand the story of 2. It was linked with story. It had this brilliant level design, which really added to it. And that was just absolutely fabulous. And, you know, as much as you could get lost, you knew it was a point between A and B that you get lost between. With this, I don't know if I've stumbled into a secret. I'd also like to add that about halfway through the game, I found out there's an underground map. So as much as the stuff on top of the world, there's stuff under the world. And the stuff under the world is nonsense. Because you get in coffins and disappear and reappear in fucking miles apart. And I think at the end of the day, I'm getting stressed because I'm lost. And I don't want to get stressed that I'm lost in a game. Because I don't want to have missed some crucially important magic item. You know, it's a unique one. Okay? Now, I have one more thing I need to talk about before I forget. This is sort of like... So, I've talked about how level design sort of went out the window. I've talked about how the open world exploration has good and bad parts to it. How item crafting is kind of stupid. It is. There is no way to deem whether you need it or not. Next is something I love. Now, I don't like playing my From Software games online. I don't! I don't like finding messages every 5 meters that say, stick your finger in your butt. Or this is an illusory wall, where it isn't an illusory wall. I don't do that. I like to only really see the messages that come from the game, like this one. That says, find yourself mainless, go over there. You know, because that's what that guy said. You know, I like to play offline. I do. So the 2 things I'm going to go over. Number 1 is this. In the inventory, there's ashes. Ashes are like summons for people who don't have friends. And it's really cool. Because you can summon anything. So, one of my favourites, Skeletal Militiamen. Let me summon them. I need to just quickly go down a cliff. I should be able to do one here. Game? Why don't you let me do that? Hold on, I need to move somewhere where it's got the symbol. I used to be able to do them there. Let me try up here, where I'm most recent in the game. It might be because I cleared the boss, I don't need to summon her anymore. It won't let me summon. Because, like, world bosses you can use these summons against, which is really nice. There's a symbol on the left that kind of looks like an archway. You need it to appear. I had it appear in Godric's castle. Oh, here we go. There's the symbol. On the left-hand side. So if I go over to Ashes, I want to summon Skeletal Militiamen. And here we go. I have 2 Skeletal Militiamen then that will assist me in fights. These are my favourite, by the way, because when they get hit and downed and killed, they regen if they're not attacked when they're on the ground. And often the AI ignores them, so they get back up. Very nice. But you can do it to any of these. I've unlocked basically bosses. I've unlocked battle mages, a guy called Omen Killer Rollo that was interesting. Hordes of people, if you want a horde. Horde of people with shields, a bunch of wolves. There's a lot of different types that you can really sort of summon, and they'll help you out in their own unique ways. So if you need to draw the heat off you because you're more of a support mage type person, summon some of these fuckers. It's not cheating, because a lot of people get very, what's the word I'd like to use? Stupid. Saying that it's not Dark Souls if you're a mage. No, I need to play it as a mage because I'm not very good at it. And I'm okay with not being good at it. It's how I play. If my mum played this fucking game, I wouldn't expect her to play it as a big bonk roll ninja. No. Use any strat you've got. They're all allowed. It's Dark Souls, or From Software, or Elden Ring, or Bloodborne. Any strategy is allowed. But what I will say is, up to a certain point, that's really good and really useful. I will talk about the multiplayer briefly, because I did give it a go. I tried invading a world. And I'm going to say it now. Invasions suck in this game. Really suck. There will only ever be one invader, from what I can tell. And when you invade, that person can have 3 people. So I put down a summon sign, because you can get summon signs. I put down a summon sign, which was red, because I like to duel people in these games. I think it's fun to summon into someone else and 1v1. I summoned, and there were 3 people just hammering me to death from the moment I spawned. It was not great. So I tried to do it a different way. I tried to invade someone. I invaded, and it was 2 people stood on top of a house, shooting billions and billions of spells, and I died instantly. I've yet to have an invasion where things work, so I'm just happy playing offline. Maybe other people have things to say about the invasions, but I feel they kind of lack fairness. I don't know. When I die in one hit from someone, I don't think that's fair. But that's just me. Or if it is fair, then, they clearly need one for idiots. I don't know. So, that's my Elden Ring sort of stamp it. Overall, it is an amazing game. It really is. It is diverse and brilliant. The problems I'm going to bring Do you mind? The problems I'm going to bring up are... It is almost too big. So big that I get lost. The bonfire things, these things of faith, are kind of useless. Like, this one's telling me to go through a wall over there. Which is off a cliff. I can't do that. Which is a little stupid. You know, the plot's very hard to follow. The characters are hard to follow. Crafting seems to be pretty much useless. Unless you want to collect octopus heads. Because I have a lot of octopus heads. Which I just found funny. Look at my octopus head. Sue me. You know, all in all, I don't really have a problem with it. It's just... There's the little things that I would have... That if they'd have been made a little bit better, would have driven me home to... This is not just a good game, this is fucking outstanding. I'd have quite liked to have seen, perhaps, the idea to create your own sites of grace. Or something like that, like bonfires. Because, I will point out, there's two types of respawn points. There's these, and then they're called Stakes of Marika. They're basically T-pose statues that are all across the landscape. So if there's like a little mini world boss here, I'll be able to respawn here instead of here. It's pretty nice. But they don't really add anything. You know. So from my flesh sack hat, because that's what I'm wearing right now, and my horrifying character with a horrifying face, kind of looks like Michael Jackson. Yeah, I'm going to say goodbye. I'm going to say that's the end of this video. You know, all in all, Elden Ring is a brilliant, fun game. And I might get a bit of a bad rap for this video, but I'm not too bothered. Because... It is what it is, you know? And dying is part of the game. And I really enjoy lots of this game. Lots of the puzzles are really good. But it's very hard to follow them. You almost need a quest log. Which I know isn't the way From Software does it. But I've lost so many NPCs, I don't even know where I'm supposed to find them. Oh! There is something I need to talk about. Something I need to talk about most urgently. Something that fucking drove me insane and really irritates me. Okay. Okay? Sorry, this is just a little pet hate. And if this is the only thing that anyone takes away from this video, please, for the love of God, raise it to From Software. But this is the dumbest thing in the fucking world. Right, where's bloody... Right. So... There's these items you can get that give you buffs and stuff. This one here renders the wearer immune to fall damage. So, if you jump off something tall, you won't die or take damage, yeah? But if you fall for, like, longer than 3 seconds, even if it's onto land you can land on, the game counts it as falling too far and will just kill you no matter when you hit the floor. That is the most irritating shit in the world, to say you're immune to fall damage and then kill you from it. Perfect example. You can go down there, onto that road down there. So, I want to go down onto that road. That seems fair. Let me go down onto that road with my immune to fall damage. I've hit the limit. I'll die. I get it's just, like, not break things like that. But, fuck, man. Can we at least change the animation of the fall? So it stops being a, I'm gonna land on my feet, I'm gonna land on my face type deal? Oh, that's a stake in Marika, by the way. I don't know why it's right next to this, but yeah. So, hopefully that's everything. For the love of God, that is a stupid thing. I was so excited when I got that as well, and it's bloody useless. Yeah, so I'm going to carry on playing as my weird Dex Mage. as you do. Because, actually, I'll say something. My starting character was a prisoner. So, you start with a magic wand. And so, it's very interesting. And I got the same problem with magic wands. I've got like 12 of them, and not a single one do I have a fucking clue which one's good at. I've gone with this one because it's got the best scaling, and I'm just presuming that's the best. Oh! Actually, no. Sorry, I nearly forgot something. There is something else I wanted to bring up. Very quickly. I'm an idiot. This is a very unorganized review, but if it helps, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, so I'm allowed to be tired. This is your hub. So your hub, you enter, it's the Round Table Hold. And it is full of people when you start the game. People who sell you stuff, like spells and magics and cool stuff. And you think, oh, great. And as the game goes on, they all fuck off. There's like 3 people. There's the person who makes my weapons, person who makes my ghosts better, and a man who tells me about the bosses, and that's all I've got. Most of them have died or fucked off or stabbed the other ones or turned into a tree. It's real confusing. This whole area. Because this is like the safe zone. And I feel it kind of lacks. But, all in all, that's Elden Ring. It's a bit confusing, really. Good gameplay, but everything else is confusing. That's sort of my review. It's real confusing. It might be something that I choose to play again, because I'm not going to lie, I'm pretty wiped out on it. I fatigued so much that I don't feel I want to play it anymore. And I'm just so lost, I'm lost. I feel it might be something I want to replay when I've got people in my Twitch chat to guide me through it who are experts and know everything and every little secret and can explain the lore to me and where the story's going and what the fuck just happened. Because I certainly don't have a fucking clue. But I do enjoy the gameplay, so that's that. It's just, after like nearly 50 hours, I'm tired. I want the game to end. And I still don't think... I think I've got about like 2/3 of the map to uncover still. It's a lot. Like, I know for a fact I've got about 3 or 4 more bosses. And I don't even know how to get to most of these areas. So, yeah. Thank you very much for watching. If you were offended by this review, I don't care. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.